everyone, welcome to the first part of this series of 3 lessons about vitamins. In this first part, we will be talking about what are vitamins and what do they do. When you go to the pharmacy, you see shelves full of different types of vitamins. Vitamin B, vitamin C, vitamin D, etc. In this presentation, we will be talking about general properties and classification of these nutrients, what factors affect the stability of vitamins in foods, and therefore how much you actually get from foods. And also we will be talking about the functions of these vitamins in your body and why they are so important for your health. Vitamins are organic nutrients that play important functions in our body. If we have any deficiency of these nutrients, we will have disease or physical symptoms that can disappear once the levels of these nutrients are restored. Anyway, long-term deficiency can make us to have disease or permanent damage. Even if we require vitamins in a small amount, we can't produce them in the amount we need. It means they are essential nutrients and we depend on foods to obtain them. The good news is that they are present in all types of nutrients or all types of foods, like in vegetables, fruits, grains, proteins, and dairy products. And there are 13 nutrients or 13 molecules that fit in this classification. Each of them has a unique structure. So in contrast to carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins, in which we had a common structure, in the case of vitamins, each of them has a unique structure. There are some similarities, like for example, if you can see that some of them contain rings. They are organic nutrients. It means they all contain carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen. But in addition to these chemical elements, some of them contain other elements. For example, vitamin B1 and B7, they both contain sulfur. Vitamin B12 contains cobalt in the middle of the structure, as you can see here. And in this slide, I also want to show you that in addition to this naming system in which we have letters, each of them has a common name. For example, vitamin B1 is also called thiamine, whereas vitamin B7 is also called biotin. You can see also that they can have different sizes. Vitamin B5, also called pantothenic acid, it doesn't have any ring in the structure. Both slides, this one and the previous one, it's a sort of summary in which you can see all them, their common names, their structure, and also their function. And in addition to that, you see a color system. Some of them, the name is written in orange color. For some others, like in this case, vitamin D, the name is written in red or dark red color. Well, this is talking about the classification. They can be classified as water-soluble or fat-soluble vitamins. For vitamins, A, D, K, and E are fat-soluble, whereas the remaining amount, 9 vitamins, are water-soluble. And these are the big complex vitamins plus vitamin C. And talking about this naming system with letters, this is a naming system that came in the same moment they were discovered. So vitamin A, B, C, some kind of order of discovery. At some point, it was known that B-complex vitamin, initially thought to be only one vitamin, it was really a mixture of different vitamins. And that's why we have vitamin B1, vitamin B2, etc. And this difference in solubility will affect the way these vitamins are absorbed or transported, or if we store them or if we excrete them or not. And this table is summarizing what happened with fat-soluble and water-soluble vitamins in terms of absorption, transportation, storage, if we need to consume them daily, or if they are likely to become toxic or not. Both fat-soluble and water-soluble vitamins, and as you can see here, they are absorbed in the small intestine, And I want to highlight the fact that we don't get energy from vitamins. So we don't break down chemical bonds in vitamins. We absorb them the way they are in food. Fat-soluble vitamins, once absorbed, they are transported through the lymph with the help of lipoprotein, whereas water-soluble vitamins, they are transported through the blood. Fat-soluble vitamins, they are stored, and in contrast, water-soluble vitamins, they are generally not stored. There are some sections that we will learn when talking about water-soluble vitamins. For this reason, it is not a big deal if we don't consume one of them in one day and we do it in the following day, because we are able to store them. In contrast, water-soluble vitamins, yes, we need to consume them. And based on this, this explains why fat-soluble vitamins also can become toxic, or they are more likely to become toxic because we store them, and if we have an excess of intake, we can have some toxicity effects. In contrast, water-soluble vitamins, as they are soluble in water, we can excrete them through the urine, and they are less likely to give us toxicity issues. I want to talk about factors that can affect vitamins stability. Well, different factors like, for example, exposure to oxygen, to ultraviolet light, changes in the pH, this means more acid or less acid, and also exposure to water and heat. This happens mainly with water-soluble vitamins. And in the case of heat, it affects mainly the vitamin C. So thus cooking can destroy water-soluble vitamins, and that's something that you have to keep in mind when eating or preparing foods, and you want to have a maximum amount of these vitamins. For example, some vegetables is maybe better to eat them in a raw basis instead of cooking them. And the other characteristic is that sometimes the form that we find or we get from foods is ready to be used. We call these preformed vitamins, but sometimes we get them as an inactive form, and once absorbed, we convert them to an active form. That's what happened with vitamin A, where from foods we get beta carotene, and then we transform this into vitamin A. So we have different forms of vitamins in foods, and the information in this slide is really very simplified. I just want to highlight that sometimes the form of the vitamin that we get from foods is processed to get the active form. And let's finish this presentation talking about the functions of vitamins. The table in the display shows you how many roles vitamins have in maintaining health. You can see, for example, that most of them are involved in more than one process. Like, for example, vitamin A is involved in bone health, growth and reproduction, immune function, etc. Even though when they are involved in all those processes, we can group mainly two different functions. One is that they act as precursors for coenzyme. A coenzyme is a molecule that it helps enzymes to perform their function. Think on this as medical assistants, that their function is to help doctors. And the picture in the slide is trying to show you a simplified view of this action. Think on this as a key that will only be able to open if the coenzyme is present. So, for example, two compounds approach enzymes, but the reaction can't take place unless the coenzyme is there. Once the coenzyme is there, we have a perfect fit, and then the products can interact with the enzyme, and therefore the enzyme can perform its function. Many vitamins act as coenzymes. For example, B7 biotin, and you can see here biotin is involved in the conversion of acetyl-CoA to fatty acids, also in the conversion of amino acids to one of the intermediates in the Krebs cycle, etc. This is not the only process in which enzymes act as coenzymes. They really participate in other processes like coagulation, vision processes, immune system, the absorption of calcium and iron, and the synthesis of amino acids. The other function in which vitamins are involved is in acting as antioxidant. This is a group of compounds that help us to reduce oxidative damage or oxidative stress. Oxygen from metabolic pathways can escape and form some molecules that are reactive. We also call them free radicals. Think on this like a damaged oxygen atom, and this molecule can damage proteins and DNA in your cell. And antioxidants are molecules like some vitamins that help us to repair this oxygen molecule, and therefore they fight the oxidative damage. 3 vitamins, vitamin C, vitamin E, and beta-carotene, which is a preform of vitamin A, they function as antioxidants. Just to finish, let's summarize. Vitamins as nutrients can be classified as micronutrients, organic, and essential because we depend on foods to obtain them. There are 13 vitamins and they can be classified according to their solubility. This solubility will influence the way we store them or if they are likely to become toxic or not. Fat-soluble vitamins are stored, therefore there is high toxicity risk. Daily intake is not 100% necessary. It doesn't mean that we don't need them. It's just that if you miss them one day, it's not a big deal. In contrast, water-soluble vitamins, which are the B-type and the vitamin C, are not stored. We need to consume them daily, and they are less likely to become toxic. Vitamins are involved in many processes, performing 2 main functions as coenzymes and antioxidants. In next presentations, we will be talking about vitamins, water-soluble and fat-soluble vitamins, and the specific functions and characteristics for each of them. Thank you for your attention, and if this topic was interesting to you, you can find some other interesting videos in this channel. Thank you.